Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to 7.3.5 Paradox, Knockdown, Entropic Impairment, Quantum Safeguard and Counterstrike path. So jumping right into the nodes, the paradox charges you will receive will be by knocking down the opponent, and if you have less than 3 paradox charges, the quantum safeguard will come into play. Then defender will reduce all incoming damage by 90%. But once you have enough charges on the opponent, the potency of your debuffs is going to increase by 30% for every paradox charge on you. So knock him down 4%, your debuffs will be improved by 120%. So having said that, your viable attackers will be any champions that have easy access to debuffs. So I have mentioned quite a few in every class. You can tailor them and use different ones as well. And finally, there is going to be a counter strike node. So whenever you will dex the opponent, you will get a fury on yourself, increasing your damage. And if you dex 10 times after the 10th fury, the furies will be removed and the defender will go unblockable 15 seconds. So just be very careful about that. The boss we're going to attempt today is going to be an Elsa Bloodstone with persistent pressure and tenacity 3, as well as evasive maneuvers. We will discuss more about her during the fight. And the defense path is going to start with Human Torch and end with Sasquatch. So before we jump into the path, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications. All of that really helps me out a lot. And before we do start with the path, I'm going to talk about the mastery setup as well. I am going to run with Suicide Mastery, so this will be coming up on your screen just in a second. And right there, my defense and utility setup usually remains the same. I usually go off and on suicides and non-suicides. If I'm going non-suicide, I will keep those 7 points with me, and when I go into AQ or AW, I put them back on again. So I hope that helps, guys. Let's jump right into the path. The first fight is going to be against a Human Torch. I'm going to use a Mole Man. I'm going to use Parry and Heavy around 4 to 5 times so I can activate my Frenzy, and then I can just lay into him. As long as I don't knock him down, I can just use my attacks in Frenzy to bleed him, and because of all the paradox charges I have on myself, the potency of the bleeds will be increased by 30% for every charge, and I can easily melt away Human Torch. One quick thing though, be careful when he throws an SP1 or an SP2. If you don't evade it, you're going to get a smolder charge on you, and if you evade it, there's going to be furies on you that can be converted into an unblockable effect on the defender because of counter strike. So you just need to be wary about that. You can also go very near to 8 paradox charges and then use an SP3 just like that I'm going to use, and then you can reduce 3 in one go. So it's upon you how you're going to do. Once you have enough paradox charges, you can easily use a bleed champion. If you have Deep Moon's Mastery, that's going to help as well, and you can easily take down the defender. Next up is going to be Juggernaut, and probably this is going to be your longest fight in the path. I would highly suggest you to bring a champion that can either deal with unstoppable or has slow debuff. Don't worry, with all the paradox charges, you can just parry and heavy and build up those charges, and the more paradox charges you have, the longer is the duration of the slow, so you don't have to worry about unstoppable, as I am showcasing with She-Hulk. Other champions you can use here can be your Red Guardian. You can also use here Spider-Gwen. Quake is also a good option. No power means no specials, and then elongated stuns, and you can also use Spider-Man stealth suits. All of these champions work. What I'm trying to do here is to take him to a corner, and the parry is also increased, and I'm just gonna build up to my SP3, and once I have 8 charges of paradox, I'm just gonna throw an SP3, so that will reduce 3 of those paradox charges, and I'm gonna go back again and parry and heavy, and in this way he will never get to have those and then he will never get to have those unstoppable buffs because of the slow, and the longer the duration of it, it will be very easy for me to control the fight. Right here I'm just staying back and just want him to throw his SP2 so I can go back in and build up to an SP3. So you can repeat that cycle. Might be a little longer fight depending on RNG, but you can easily bring him down. Captain America Infinity War also works here, so it's your choice what champion you want to bring in. Now the next fight is going to be against an invisible woman. I would highly suggest you to bring in the champion that has bleeds, so you can get away from her invisibility easily. So champions with bleeds or other debuffs will work really well. If you don't bring in a bleed champion, then you will have to use a parry, and you will have to miss an attack to dispel the invisibility. In my case, I am going to have a mole man who has already built up paradox charges. So remember, it will be good for this fight if you bring in a champion that has already built up some paradox charges, so you don't have to use the parry and have you to build the charges and then go into attack. You can just finish this fight very quick, because she can be very annoying if she connects some of those hits with you in that invisibility, and they give you a lot of damage for no reason. Next up is going to be a Diablo, pretty straightforward fight. I am just gonna bring in Cable. I already have APOC, so I'm gonna just use those degens. As I will knock him down, the paradox charges will increase and the degens will stack, and it will very easily be brought down. Any champions with a lot of debuffs can be used. It's a pretty straightforward and simple fight. The special attacks are easily evadable. So again, my Cable is only rank 1. I am in process of taking him to rank 3, but he also works on this path very nicely with the nodes that are available there. Next up is going to be Mr. Fantastic. So I'm just use an Apocalypse here because I want to get those 4 charges at least with one fight. So I already have Cable Synergy, so I'm going to get 4 charges right off the bat. You can preferably use a Science Champion that has some kind of a 2 strike or something that can ignore his evade. Archangel is also a good option. Moleman is a very good option, and Moleman also does extra damage against Fantastic 4, so that also helps you out. So again, pretty simple, straightforward. Why SP1 and SP2 both are easily evadable. So yeah, pretty quick one against Mr. Fantastic. The more you knock him down with playstyle for Apocalypse, not only you will refresh the debuffs on him, you will also get more paradox charges, so the duration of them will increase as well. Now when you plan your path, make sure that you bring in a good counter for Sasquatch, because he can be a roadblock here because of his region and because of his Fury phase. So some really good options here can be Mr. Fantastic, can be Archangel. Diablo is also really good good one here. Void, also your Human Torch, along with Captain America Infinity War with Tech Synergy can also work. What I like to do is I like to save my special 3s for when he goes into his Fury mode, and if he corners me I will use my SP3 to create space, and in the meanwhile his Fury phase will end. So you can use that technique as well. So yeah, again I'm just taking to a corner, knocking him down, increasing my paradox my charges, so the length of the incinerate or the Nova Flames is increased and he can melt away very easily. With added advantage with Human Torch is that Sasquatch is a Mystic champion, so those smolders will build up really fast. Right here I'm being cornered, I just used an SP3 so I can create space, so this always works for me. You can do a similar technique as well, unless you're very good with intercepts, you can go with that also. So once you have that done guys, you can easily bring him down. It's just a little patient fight, but make sure that you bring in a counter for the Sasquatch, otherwise he will be a really strong roadblock for you in this path. And finally, the boss fight is going to be against a Elsa Bloodstone. On the champion change, I just took in Strive so I can do extra damage with Apocalypse. Now, there are quite a few different nodes on Elsa Bloodstone. The first one is Persistent Pressure, so every 15 seconds she will get an Unstoppable, and when she has an Unstoppable, she is going to be unstunnable, so you cannot parry her. But if you are using a champion that has a lot of prowesses, for every prowesses on the attacker, the Unstoppable debuff will be reduced by 0.5 seconds. So champions like Magneto will reduce the Unstoppable. Also champions like Bishop will also work. So there are quite a few different champions you can use. Apocalypse is probably the best counter for this fight because he can ignore Tenacity and you can just go in and hit. Only one thing I would suggest you, if you don't have the 100% evade counter ready, whenever you knock her down she gets evade charge because of evasive maneuvers. I will suggest you to just stay back and run it out, otherwise she will intercept with her revolver and do a lot of damage to you. Then Apocalypse, being a Excel champion, will take a lot of damage. Another champion that works really well here is going to be Storm Pyramid X. She counters a lot of things. She counters the Unstoppable because of her prowesses. She also counters the Tenacity, so she is a very good counter for this fight. Aegon also works. If you have a built up Aegon, you don't need to worry about the evade, you don't need to worry about the block. You can just go in, hit on a block, and the unblockable will easily kill off Elsa Bloodstone. Another one is White Max Energy is really amazing, so you can pretty much bring in any champion that has loads of debuffs and you can just use White Max Energy with his guidance. So for example, he works really well with Archangel. All you need to do is to parry and heavy with Archangel with the guidance active. That will bypass the Tenacity and the ability accuracy will kill him off. So is the same with Sunspot. So I hope this video helps you out and you enjoyed the video. If you did, guys, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and turn on those post notifications. All of that really helps me out a lot and helps me grow the channel. Stay tuned for the remaining exploration parts. I'll try to speed up with them, and apart from that, I hope you all have an amazing day and I'll see you next time.